Alright, so Abzan midrange. This deck, for those of you that have followed my content, has a lot of parallels and card overlap with Abzan Hero. Basically, the thought process that kind of went through my head on Friday when I threw this list together was every other Hero the Precinct 1 deck that I play, Hero seems like kind of a mediocre card that's like forced into. And I kept thinking about cards that I wanted to try in the Abzan Hero deck, like Vraska's Contempt, but I just couldn't justify going low enough on the multicolor card count to make this card work. So I was like, well, maybe I'm just, like, being a slave to my theme, and I should just, like, play good cards and stop trying to, like, make Hero work. So this is basically Abzan good cards. Like Garden Variety Troll said, there's a lot of card quality here, just like, if you look at all the cards that this deck is playing, they're individually powerful for the most part. You see them played in other standard decks in the format, so go ahead and dive on into some matches here. This is basically the Abzan Hero deck that we played a good bit of, minus Hero, just like, plus other good cards in the Abzan colors. Well. Perfect. 2, 3, 4. To a degree, dude, light. I mean, like, you could also argue that, like, Growth Chamber Guardian's also a removal magnet, too. Yeah. I'm like, this card's much better than Hero off the top in the late game, right? Like, obviously on curve, this card tends to be worse, but not even always worse. Do I just, like, make a 4/4 here? I think I was gonna make a 4/4 and not play into a Sinister Sabotage / Absorb. Is this a full art deck? No, there are some plebeian non-full art cards, but there aren't that many of them. This deck does have an incredible volume of full arts. Alright, so I'm going to play Seraph of the Scales this turn, because I think they're likely to have a counterspell. Old Mystic, sure. And then next turn I'll have 5 mana, so I can play two threats. How do you think this deck stacks up against Sultai without having any honor guards in the main deck or sideboard? I think you just, like, outgrind Sultai with your Planeswalkers. And your various other things, like Midnight Reapers that generate card advantage. Like, Tecatli Honor Guard isn't even all that good against a lot of the Sultai deck straws. Weird. Is my opponent not playing Nexus? They're just, like, playing, like, Bant midrange. They might just be playing, like, Bant midrange. I think I'd rather just get more threats into play here rather than fart this right away. Journey to Eternity is a pretty trash Magic card. There's like, you can't cast it when your opponent has spot removal up, and even if your opponent doesn't have spot removal up, cards like Vraska's Contempt and Lava Coil exile your creature. It's just like, it's a lot of setup work for not a lot of payoff. I think if you want more grind, I'd rather just play more Planeswalkers rather than, like, put a card like Journey to Eternity that's individually very weak into my deck. Oh, do they have Nexus in their deck? Or are they about to play, March? Woof. Well, shoot. Yeah, lots of sweet cards are bad. That doesn't change the fact of what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. I didn't say it wasn't sweet, I just said it's bad. Alright, so what? We got 2 shots and an Assassin's Trophy here. Drawing cards from this Midnight Reaper. Oh, I think we're dead no matter how we slice this. We're not gonna be able to beat this Vivien emblem, unfortunately.
Meet my newest friend.
Yeah, that's all. Needed a trophy in the top third of our deck. I'm not even sure if Duress is good here. Opponent's playing a bit of a bruise. We don't really know what they're doing. Yeah, they're like Bant, like flashy type stuff. Duress is probably fine. This doesn't seem unreasonable. I like all of the cards in our deck. Aristocrat's deck was okay. It's fine. I think it's a little bit too weak when it doesn't have hero in play, but when it has hero in play, it's like pretty unbeatable. Yeah, Duress tags Walkers, March. It tags the Reclamation as well, which is nice. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that that's what they're playing, Street Kings. It's like not super aggressive, but probably in the range of keepable. One of the nice things about this is because it's fairly likely that they're not playing the combo, we don't have to like super prioritize taking Reclamation off the table. It's probably more correct in a lot of situations to like hold the trophies and stuff for their Planeswalkers and sources of card advantage. Yeah, they probably have a bunch of flashy stuff, dude. Light things that play out on our turn. Poor little Midnight Reaper. I don't think I want to trophy that. I think I want to save this for a Planeswalker down the line. It's unfortunate that we don't have another play this turn, though. Our plan of drawing a spell at some point doesn't seem to be coming to fruition. Yep. This game's probably done. We just didn't get on the board soon enough to be able to apply reasonable pressure to be able to resolve anything meaningful from here on out. Needed really, the really pivotal turn this game was when they had the seal away on 3 and I didn't have another threat to be able to play up because we just hadn't drawn any spells. Like being able to like put more things into play the turn they took our one thing away was important, and we were unable to do that. Yeah, I don't do evening streams because I have done evening streams in the past, and I know that my viewer numbers are much worse in the evenings on average. People tend to have certain people that they like to follow on Twitch. So, like, people who watch during the day that are looking for magic content, like, I have my regulars, basically, and people who are watching Twitch in the evenings, while there is some overlap with people who are my regulars there, there's a lot of people who aren't familiar with my content that already have regulars that they watch. So my numbers get worse as I go deeper into the evening on average a lot of the time. Huh. They're probably a Phoenix deck, right? And they took this with some priority. I probably want to keep that. I might just click submit here, honestly. I don't really know what they're doing, like black-red mid-range it looks like. I'm just gonna click submit. Yeah, it's like hit or miss Street Kings. There's a lot of variance in the weekends too, because, and like, you know, the other thing too is like, if you've ventured out into other streams in the world, like, most other people don't have a schedule out, right? So like, I can't even intelligently approach doing something like that, because like, some random evenings I could have a bunch of people because like Caleb and other folks take off sporadically, but like, even during the day you see some of that too, right? Like my numbers when Nox is online versus my numbers when Nox aren't online are like night and day. There's like a 20-25% difference. They could be missing a third color too. They could be Junder Grixis. Yeah, that's a good read. I think the fact that they have Duress in their deck probably implies they're not playing blue, because if you have blue, generally you play Thought Erasure. That's fine. But the ones that do have a schedule don't even stick to it. That is also true, Party Bus Driver. I'm very good about, like, this week when my schedule is going to be different because I'm taking Friday off. I post on Sunday, hey, this is my schedule for the week, and this is what you can know to expect. This is my job, and I treat it like it. Yeah, it's just like not an efficient use of my time, basically, is what it comes down to. It's the TLDR. Huh. So I'm definitely hitting them with the Tithe Taker. The question is, do I want to play the Kaya, or do I just want to mortify this? I think I just want to play the Kaya. You keep a more consistent schedule than I do at my office job. The Greeter Aura, thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. I think it's pretty unlikely that they're able to activate this turn, so I think getting my Planeswalker down and getting her ticking up doesn't really punish me. Like, I can still mortify this next turn. I don't know if they have a Contempt here or not. He's dead, Jim. You've killed him. So what are the odds they can play? I think I'm just going to mortify this now. Just like, let's not screw around. I don't want them to, like, duress me and then lose that. I'm actually going to take the Mortify out of my own graveyard here, because the cards in my graveyard don't do anything for me, and my opponent's likely playing the Pirate that casts instants and sorceries out of my bin. So I'd like to play around that. I wonder if they have a Contemptor. They moused over her twice last turn. Maybe they're just not super familiar with the text on her. Captain Invictus, thanks for the quarter of a year. Welcome back. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me around. This deck works with the 3 Explore cards. You mean you want to put the Wild Growth Walker package in here? I don't know. I feel like at that point you kind of bridge into the realm of just being like bad Sultai. And I think I'd prefer not to be bad Sultai.
Materializing? Huh.
I think I'm gonna leave him Siege Gang here. I think I'm just gonna like my Growth Chamber Guardian just kind of just fight through this. Growth Chamber Guardian really showing its power off this game. Like, just if you want to draw comparisons to the Abzan hero list we've played that's very similar to this, just like think about if these Growth Chamber Guardians have been hero of the Precinct 1. I think we'd have been much worse off almost every time. Do I want to start attacking with these? May I ask why you're considering Temur Climb and not Temur Dawnbringer? Yeah, I think Temur Climb's the better deck. I think being more proactive is valuable. I think Temur Dawnbringer is a little bit better against Esper control because it generates more card advantage, but I think it's significantly worse against Sultai. I think Sultai is still a hard matchup for Temur Climb, but it has a better chance. Whereas like Temur Dawnbringer feels like it just has no shot there. You just can't outgrind Sultai. You have to punk them. Putting Hadana's Climb in your deck is kind of like having this random I win button. Just like, oops, I killed you. What's my favorite deck in Standard? Probably the Climb decks we're talking about, or something like this. Really enjoyed this one. They keep mousing over my graveyard. I think one of these Growth Chamber Guardians is about to get contempted. I'm gonna trophy the CGN Commander, I think. Yeah, it's like Temur Battle Rage. I completely agree. It's literally Temur Battle Rage in Standard. If they want to sacrifice this to deal 2 to me. Really? Okay. Okay. Oh, interesting. I'm kind of surprised they didn't just throw this one. I guess they want the land. That worked out better than expected because they went super low here. So I'm going to shock this in, and the reason why I'm shocking it in is when I activate this, if my opponent goes to kill it, I would like to be able to activate it again in response, so I still get a friend. Look at that. Look at that. We're so smart and thin, chat. Just the smartest and the thinnest. So we are a little bit ahead at the moment, but their deck definitely has some good top decks in it. So does ours. So we'll see. I think this is there's definitely not a game that they're out of yet, but we're definitely ahead. Like if we both just rip bricks from here, we're gonna likely win the game. We are out of Squadron Crabs. Through all 4 of those. I can't activate Trophy and Contempt, so no reason. I think even if I had the mana to activate Trophy Contempt, I wouldn't do that. I think that's just being a little bit too aggressive. Alright, we have lethal in play. Yep. guess. Looking for like a 3-4 to fill out the middle, but alright, the Sultai matchup most likely. Let's see how this feels. Dun dun. Tithe Taker is not particularly useful in this matchup, unfortunately. I think he's probably the play here on 2, though. You just like attacks for a little bit more. If they like, play third land, play Vivien. We would like to just draw lands for the next 2 to 3 draw steps. That way we can curve out into these 5s consistently. Our hand not super great in this matchup so far. Like, we're missing, like, Lyra's not great. Tithe Taker's kind of medium. Orzhov Enforcer's just okay. Enforcer's, like, good against their fast Wildgrowth Walker draws, but outside of that, it's not stellar. Well, that's a land drop. It's a good step in the right direction. Leave this on defense for now. They're notably still missing blue mana. But it could just be Sultai with an awkward draw. A lot of the Sultai decks just have a very small splash for Krasis, so they don't actually play that many blue lands. Yeah, maybe it could just be like, you know, only playing 10 blue sources. I'm gonna go ahead and trade here, just keep my health total high. Putting the Explore creature in their bins, like, not the greatest for us, should my opponent have, Find Finality with Wildgrowth Walker in play. The fact that I have Midnight Reaper in my deck also makes trading off aggressively there a little bit worse. Because, like, the Tithe Taker is worth more the following turn if I can draw a card when it dies. Timor, thanks for the quarter viewer. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I mean, alright. Deal Arena. We're missing our land drop, but all of our cards in play are worth a good deal. Keep giving them little love taps here. I wonder if we'll see them memorial back the Jade Light here. Interesting. The fact they're, like, not picking the Jade Light back up makes me think they're definitely Sultai. That's a Carnage Tyrant. I do at least have Old Faithful here in my Orzhov Enforcer. I'm gonna leave the 1/1 token back at this point, because I really want to be as defensive as possible. With them having this giant Trampler, and me like having 2 Midnight Reapers. Yeah, there's the blue source. Graces me, daddy. Show me your Hydroid. If they attack with Wildgrowth Walker and Carnage Tyrant this turn, I think I'm going to double block Midnight Reapers on the Wildgrowth Walker, and then probably throw the Orzhov Enforcer in front of the Carnage Tyrant. Wow, my opponent could actually... Well, they could definitely do that. I think we're probably dead at this point. Oh, I guess that's not strictly true. If they, if we rip a land next turn, I get to Tristani and take my Midnight Reaper back. Definitely can't take hits from this Carnage Tyrant over and over again. Feels bad to let them get a card draw out of it, but it has to happen. Maybe I'm supposed to throw away my Midnight Reaper too. It gives them another draw, but it gives me a better chance to hit the land to get the Tristani going. I'd like my toys back, please. Thank you. Now, there is the very real liability of having double Midnight Reaper in play, which is like another reason to have potentially thrown away my second Midnight Reaper last turn. Like if they finality the board here, they like keep Walker, keep Hostage Taker. Yeah, and I'm gonna lose 8, draw 8. So, like, I'm going to 3 here. I'm gonna have all the cards in the world, but I'm going to 3. Like, they have 3 things, and they're gonna, like, 3 to 4 things in play that, like, are all lethal. Yeah, I think I was supposed to trade off the second Midnight Reaper the turn previously. So that way, I don't put myself in a position like this. I mean, I don't know about too much card draw so much as too much life loss. Like, the cards would have been fine here if I had lost 8 to get them, right? Like, the issue wasn't the fact that we were missing. So our ultimately stumbling early ended up catching back up to us there, right? Like, if I'd have had more lands in play, we would have been fine. We would have been fine there. Definitely a matchup where Kaya's Wrath is reasonable. Kaya herself is not fantastic here. Lyra is not great. This just gets shot down by their Viviens. This only really impacts Find Finality. I think we can just grind through that on average. They could have put counters on their Walker and just had us dead that turn, but it didn't matter. Yeah, that's true. Dimir Spy. And again, like, all of that, again, like, if you think about, like, what actually happened there, ultimately, the reason why I ultimately lost that was because I didn't trade my Midnight Reaper off the previous turn. Would have saved myself points of life. Would have drawn more cards sooner, too. I think I want to try Eldest Reborn in this matchup. I don't expect it to, like, kill Carnage Tyrant very often, but just, like, the fact that it generates card advantage for us is probably not unreasonable. Ajani also seems decent for bringing back both of these dorks. There's a chance that this Ajani in the sideboard is, like, worse than playing a copy of Karn. However, Ajani's extra good against Esper control because Tithe Taker gets to come back there. In my experience, the way Sultai beats you is fine for more creases. See, that hasn't been my experience in this matchup with decks like this, Danny. And in my experience, the games I lose to Sultai are the ones where they're aggressive, like that last game that we played, where they run us down. Like, did you see that game? Like, I had so many cards in my hand, right? Like, in my experience playing these Abzan decks, like, especially the Abzan Hero deck, like, you grind through their threats, even though their threats are drawing cards, because our threats also draw cards. And the trick is managing to stay alive. Hey, Mr. Photon, thanks for the 11 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Interested to see how Kaya's Wrath feels. In the past, I've been unimpressed with Kaya's Wrath in decks like this and matchups like this, but this one's a little bit different than other things I've played before. Kaya's Wrath plus Midnight Reaper is some small amount of synergy. You're not wrong. Golgari Queen's also decent with Midnight Reaper because it lets you plus to turn one of your creatures into a draw 2. Especially good with afterlife creatures like Orzhov Enforcer here. I would really like to draw an untapped plane, please. That's not a forest. Come on! Come on! Land! I hate Magic sometimes. It's such a frustrating game. See this right here? This is why we're not trying for top 1000 again. Oh, Magic. Oh, Magic. Maybe they're really greedy and they don't play the Midnight Reaper back out. Maybe we draw lands the next 2 turns, and we get to curve into our Tristani, and then she takes back our Midnight Reaper. Alright. What's going on, Zerum? Thanks for the 16 months. Welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your week. Hey, Peel. Thanks for the 5 months. Howdy, howdy, howdy. And that's one of the things about playing these non-Sultai mid-range decks. It's one of the reasons why the what's it called deck is so good too. The Temur Climb deck is that these decks that don't play the Explore package are just so much less consistent that you just like don't get to play Magic a significant amount of the time more often. Like the fact that these decks just like stumble and die so much like this, like the Explore package does smooths out draws like this to such an absurd degree. I think that probably just ends up being bad Sultai too much of the time, Genesis. Wow. They got greedy and didn't kill the spirit so they wouldn't have been able to kill my Vraska, and then they hit Curl Harpooner. That's so savage. That's fine. We missed the land drop again anyways. And like, obviously I have Kaya's Wrath here, but they draw 6 cards and then have a Vivien, so it just doesn't matter. On to the next one. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna play something proactive on Thursday. Temur Climb's like pretty proactive for mid-range deck, which is one of the reasons why I gravitate towards it. These Abzan mid-range decks just don't, and these other mid-range decks in format, like this is true of Sultai too, they just like don't get any free wins to make up for the games. They just get like magicked out of the game. And that feels bad over the course of a tournament. It's like if I'm gonna lose some because Magic sucks, I want to win some because Magic sucks too. This is probably actually a deck I should play on Thursday. What do you mean by magicked? I mean, Magic the Gathering is a game that has an incredible amount of variance where you're going to lose a significant amount of your matches regardless of the decisions that you make. Because the resource variance that's built into Magic gives the game a very, very large amount of inherent variance. You just kind of have to accept that as part of the game to play it. And decks that are aggressive can capitalize on your opponents having mana problems, whereas decks that aren't aggressive can't capitalize on that, right? Like Esper Control, for instance, if your opponent stumbles, Esper Control can't really punish them for stumbling. Yep. I'm gonna mortify this History Benalia. It's like mortifying the Night Token, only it stops the pump later, so that's nice. Yeah, I think White Weenie Splash Blue is great. I think it's kind of poor against Sultai, so I think if I'm going to play a deck that's kind of poor against Sultai, I'd rather just play Temur Climb. The issue with the White Weenie deck is, whenever I play it, I don't feel like I have a lot of player agency. The deck feels like very autopilot. Like, these are the only real meaningful decisions you have with the white aggro deck in my experience are, how you mulligan. Like, Once you've like decided to keep your opening hand, Jesus just kind of takes the wheel and guides you to a winner or loss. You don't really have a lot of choices you get to make from there. Yeah, I agree, Dryer. In fact, the Jeskai control deck we're gonna play next today is the Sarkin Niv Jeskai deck. I agree with your assessments that deck seems good. I think I'm just gonna trade these off. I like get 3 1/1s left over here. And like at this point we've like pseudo stabilized the board. We're really hoping to draw like Seraph for the scales, Lyra, a planeswalker to generate some kind of consistent card advantage. Something along the lines of that. Oh, they drew Loxodon for the turn? Sure. We drew a land, you know? Get happy with this. Click submit. Yeah, maybe. It's tough to say, right? Like, one of those, and that's one of the things where, like, there's a quote that goes around that, like, being good at Magic is the art of drawing meaningful conclusions from statistically small sample sizes. It's just like, well, like, it does feel bad, but at the end of the day, like, sometimes when your deck actually isn't very good, just like all your games feel close, but they're close because they're close but not wins because the deck's just not good enough. Having 4/4 should be pretty good here, unless we get Baffling Ended. I'm gonna activate this right now, because this costs 4 mana to activate on their turn, because Tithe Taker's a jerk. Hopefully we can draw a 4th land by the 4th turn at some point today, and play 2 2-drops next turn. Yep. Actually, if I hit the 4th land, do I want to just do this? I mean, I don't know why I was making plans there. If I hit the 4th land. Sorry, I'm new here. Why not attack towards the Tithe Taker? Because dealing 4 points of damage to them is not worth me taking 2 points of damage on the backswing. I am not the aggro deck in this matchup. It is my opponent's job to kill me, not vice versa. Alright, hopefully they play Loxodon and then we draw an untapped white source next turn. If we don't draw an untapped white source, probably dead to rights, but it is what it is. Alright, come on. Come on, dealer, one time! One time, white source, come on! Come on, just one time! At least it's just a ladder match. At least it's just a ladder match. I'm gonna be done playing this deck. gonna be done playing this deck. This one. This actually wasn't a donation. I put this one into the queue because it looked like it was gonna be sweet. So nobody spent money on this one. No one's gonna feel bad because I cut it short after 20 minutes. So, I don't know. I think this deck is better than those games probably showed. 'Cause like most of our cards are good.